Welcome to the Linux Saloon, a place to discuss tech, open source, and where Linux is always on tap. Each show we'll have a talk about Linux projects, such as a distribution, desktop environment, or application. We also chat about the news or any variety of topics from the community. Anything that is Linux, tech, and open source related is on the table for discussion. I'm Nate, a Linux fitness and vintage tech enthusiast with an almost unhealthy obsession with the Open SUSE project. Can't tell. And with me today, I got a small but packed as far as like mental acuity and sharpness and interesting topics. I have Cruz, Colin, Jinda. How is everybody?
Excellent.
I'm doing great. Nice lights in your background, Nate.
You like it? So it's
Yeah.
it's Christmas time. You know, we're in the Advent season, so the Advent of Christmas is coming, and then I leave this up all the way for the whole 12 days of Christmas plus Epiphany. So otherwise, there's winter has. Well, I mean, okay, for Colin, it's all different. He's got in summer right now, but
Me too. It's different for me as well.
Yeah, but when you live in the cold north, basically December, January, February, they're kind of like the stink months. When it comes to they're just cold and miserable. November kind of in there too. So this is like the only thing we got going. So I'm gonna stretch it as long as I can, so that I can enjoy the season. So I have to put maybe some other lights up. I'll make that tree blue in January, just so I can just kind of keep it going. Keep some color, keep some light. Anyway, be sure to do the straw poll if you have not done so already. Knock out that straw poll about how do you update your distributions. And then on the docket for today, we're going to talk about that straw poll, and also then our file system maintenance tools. I can't remember how it's Czkawka. I don't know how did Michael say it.
Czkawka.
I just said it in English. Hiccup.
Oh, that's right. It's something simple like that, isn't it? Hiccup.
Yeah, it's Polish for hiccup, but no one can pronounce it.
Yeah.
My dad can. Yeah, I asked my dad, and he could pronounce it easily.
Well, I mean, some people have that ability. So, there's that. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that, and then gonna do our last call. But first, what I'm doing in Linux and tech. So, Jinda, you were all kinds of excited about something, and I made you, not talk too much initially about.
Yeah. I was kind of shocked by the thing is that I keep saying that I think the Raspberry Pi is kind of dying out, and
even with the new Pi 500.
Well, maybe not with the new Pi 500, but the Raspberry Pi 5 priced out at like with a case and everything and a power supply at $120. And the guy I work with, he wanted to do like a retro Pi, gaming system again, because his is old, and he goes, "Oh, I should get a new one." He's asked me about the Raspberry Pi again, and I just said go on Amazon and buy one of these mini PCs. They got a lot more power. They got a built-in hard drive. So he didn't think anything of it. And then for the holiday coming up, he went to see his father, and his father had one of the mini PCs running a Plex server. And he said that he wasn't going to be running a Raspberry Pi anymore because of the cost. And we're both, actually, I didn't talk to his dad yet. I should maybe. We're all kind of disappointed that the Raspberry Pi looks like it's kind of priced itself out of existence, so to speak, in a way.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's true for everyone.
I think it's going to be all right, and
okay.
Because it is a little bit more pricey, but you can buy the older Pi 4s that are still reasonable. I mean,
yes.
it really depends on like I think the use case. Like, for me personally, I think the Raspberry Pi. I have a few around here. It's great for specific things.
Right.
It does those things really well. But when I try and like shoehorn it in a place that it doesn't really belong as well, it doesn't seem like as good of a value, because, things like, which I'm sure you're gonna get into, the fact that you have a mini PC, you're going to have better IO for storage, because like, an SD card, you can only beat on that for so long before it kind of, decides to give up the ghost.
Exactly.
So, but if you get one of those, a mini PC, especially as like an NVMe slot, that's really a great choice for lots of things. And they're also really inexpensive. You know, it's like a ready to go appliance. I think the Pi is better for like the hobbyist space, you know, unless you get the
Yep.
Pi 500, that might be a good choice as well. I
Right.
looked at the Pi 500, but I don't have a need for it right now. So you said you I'm sorry, I think I interrupted you. The
No.
application that you were going to use it for, RetroPie.
Yeah,
Retro
he
Arch?
was asking what, you know, he's going, oh, I want to do like a RetroPie thing again. And I said, well, what are you running now? And he goes, I think a Raspberry Pi 3, and it just doesn't have power. I was thinking upgrading to a 5. And so I introduced him to running one of those mini PCs that you can get for like $120. And for that, unfortunately, I think that's a better choice. Like you said, a Raspberry Pi does have its place.
Mhm.
I mean, you know.
So are you talking about Plex server, or just, was it Plex server you originally?
Yeah, his
talked about?
father ran a Plex server on it and said it had way more power than a Raspberry Pi. It was way better for that.
That's what I'm looking at doing as well.
Yeah,
I'm looking at doing the same thing. So, yeah, I was looking during the week after some conversations last week about the Raspberry Pi, and you know, you can put an NVMe in it, but you got to get this NVMe hat or something to put on it
Mhm.
that attaches the NVMe, and you need to I think you can install via USB, I think, but I don't know. It seems a bit convoluted. I'd probably prefer to, like you said, maybe a mini PC, because you can add all your USBs and things like that.
Yeah,
Probably better.
I mean, like the benchmarking score, I think was like 4,000 versus like 1,000 on the Raspberry Pi. I mean, they have a much more powerful processor. You know what I mean? They already are in the case. They're already ready to go.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
So Ron wants to know what platform is running Plex? On what platform are you running Plex?
Oh,
missed
I
it.
never did it. My buddy's dad did it. He ran
Oh,
a
okay.
Plex server on it. I wish I did. I should try it. I haven't ran a Plex server in years. I think I ran it. Oh, I can't remember.
I think Jellyfin is the new open source hotness right now. By new,
Yep.
I mean like in the last few years.
Right.
So you can
Yeah.
check that out.
Haven't had a chance to sort of get onto that. But Plex comes with like, I mean, they got free movies and stuff on there as well, but I haven't really paid for it, but it's a once-off payment for Plex. So they seem to have a bit of flexibility within it. But Jellyfin is the other one I'm well aware of, but I've never really looked into it. Maybe I should look into that. I'm not sure. Yeah.
MB is another one. I think so. If I remember correctly, and I might have this wrong, so feel free to correct me in the chat or anywhere else. But my understanding is, so Plex was the first, and then it was open source, and then I think it closed source, or maybe it was just like partially open or whatever. So MB fork was a fork of Plex, and it was the open source, and then they went closed source commercial, and then Jellyfin is a fork of MB, so it's something like that, I think. Anyway, so
Right.
probably another 5 years, Jellyfin will be closed source, and then we'll have another fork of that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows what will happen. But anyway, I think I have MB installed right now. I tried installing Jellyfin as a Docker image, and I couldn't get it to work right. So obviously I'm doing something wrong. I probably didn't follow the directions well enough, and I need to figure that out. But right now I'm running MB. It does all right, you know. I think maybe time for like a Wi-Fi upgrade, but I don't really want to do that. So what was it? So you said you got the mini PC, or who got the mini PC? You got the mini PC. Somebody else.
Evidently the guy I work with, his father
okay.
bought one.
Okay.
And and then after he heard two nerds say the exact same thing, he's like, "Oh man, that's not good for the Raspberry Pi, so to speak."
Yeah. So do you know what kind of mini PC he got?
He got I'm pretty sure it was a B-Link mini PC off of Amazon. I think it was on sale for like $125 or something.
Okay.
It's running an N 100 processor with 8 gigs of RAM.
Okay.
I mean, so in other words, it's a lot more powerful than the Raspberry Pi is.
Right. And
I think it's running 256 on the hard.
do you know how big it is? Which
Oh,
one?
it's teeny.
Yeah.
They're teeny. Few inches. Yeah, like you said, like that.
Okay. Yeah, it's amazing how small computers are. It's kind of nutty, really.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of different ones online that you can get. They're probably all made by the same manufacturer anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I think the thing that I try to that I'm not aware of how these things work, but I don't know whether it's processor power or memory power you need for a server, especially if you're playing videos and music and all that. What is it's processor power that you need more than anything, isn't it? I think.
I think it depends upon the workload. So if you're going to use it for like streaming content, like if you as a server,
Yeah.
I think you want. I think you're going to want more CPU because it does it compresses. Yes. I think if you're going to be doing like
I think so. Yeah.
But I think it depends on if you're going to like game streaming. So if you're going to like have it process and push, then you want more GPU on that end. So I think it really depends on the workloads. But I can't say for sure because I'm not. I wouldn't consider myself an expert in that. I just know that I'm running a 12, 14-year-old server and it's doing the video streaming just fine.
I mean, I put Plex on this computer I'm running now. I've got Plex because I had to sort of try it out because I'm in a new house and I've got, I'm not wireless. I'm actually wired. So it actually works okay, but I don't want my main computer to be dedicated to that. I want a dedicated computer for that and just put all my movies and stuff on there, right? So
right.
Yeah. So it just this is a NUC, Intel NUC that's only small as well. The Skull Canyon one, so that's still pretty powerful. It seems to work all right, but anything less than that, I'm not really sure of. But something to consider, I suppose. But yeah, I agree with Jinda. It's probably got to be a bit more than what a Raspberry Pi can do for sure.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It looks like, let's see. So War Thunder says he used a Ryzen mini PC for just light tasks when he had a main desktop on the same KVM for when I needed Resolve or some gaming. When I needed Resolve, as in probably DaVinci Resolve or some gaming. And Whiskey Linux says, I got a little Dell desktop running 2 game servers. It's a 12700T, 20 cores, nice little machine. That's a lot of cores. Remember when 2 was really awesome?
There's 24, I think, on this machine.
Yeah. I don't know how many this one has. I have to check here. I'm curious now. I don't know. I probably shouldn't mess around. Let's see how many cores do we all have? Let's see. This one I have 16 in this one.
Oh, see, I'll go into H-top. That should tell me, right?
No, I went to InfoCenter and KDE for that, but yeah.
H-top. Let's see. Well, it says 24. I don't know if that's threads or cores.
So
I
Steve's
don't even have the H-top installed. Well,
B-top is the cat's pajamas. It's like the new hotness.
Oh yeah, it is, isn't it? Oh,
B-top is it? Let me try that one then.
I feel so weird running something old. Sorry, guys.
So Ron Singh says, I think processor power is needed more than RAM. H.265 needs a decent CPU, but not much RAM. War Thunder says, my home server is a Dell Micro PC. Smiley face. It handles Jellyfin, Nextcloud, and a few other things. I wonder what those few other things are now. Like a recipes app. I was looking at like a recipes like application for my server. So instead of having it like on one computer that I share between them, then I just have it like as a web thing. Let's see. Steve's Rayon says, I saw a 32-inch smart TV at Walmart for $88 US. Get a Pi and material, and you can make a magic mirror for about $150. 32-inch smart TV for 32. That's pretty substantive for $88. Huh. It's cheaper to buy a smart TV than it is groceries. Weird world. Henrietta
Yeah,
says,
B-Top's pretty good, actually.
yeah, B-Top's
Sorry.
pretty great. No worries. Henrietta says, now ever since we placed my old laptop as our entertainment in the living room, we get rid of 2 stream media players and just have the one in the bedroom in case we are sick. Hopefully they're not sick. So Ron Singh says, 2 cores, all you need, long live the X220 ThinkPad. Long in the tooth, X220 ThinkPad. I like how Ron keeps these things running. And Anarita says it's still used 4 cores ever since 2008. So yeah. Sean says 6 cores, 12-thread Ryzen 550 on his machine. And then War Thunder has 8 cores, 16 threads on his main desktop.
I've got 8 cores on mine.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's pretty good.
Ron. Guys who are confident, cough, cough. They run 2 cores X220 laptops. Ha, ha, ha. Yes. Those are the ultra confident nerds for sure. Well, very cool. So I was going to say the Raspberry Pi for me. I got a 3 lying around that's not currently being used. But the neat thing that some people have done with these Raspberry Pis, not so much the B style, but the A style, is they turn them into accelerators for like old machines like Amigas or BBC Micros, stuff like that. And so they can basically, it acts as the CPU and then adds a bunch of other additional functionality because it is so much faster than the 68K or whatever from way back when. It can in real time handle all the processing loads of those old computers and then do it faster. So I think that's pretty cool because you can basically upgrade your CPU and software. Crazy times. So anyway, I suppose we should go ahead and move on to the Strawpoll. Just take a quick note of the time. All right. So I do want to apologize. It looks like my internet is kind of a little bit dodgy, so it'll probably hang up here and there. One of these days, maybe I'll ask Mr. Musk if I can get one of those Starlinks. If I pay him. When I feel like paying him. And right now, it's like it's good enough. It's actually really not good enough today, but for the most part, it's good enough. And I just kind of don't want to spend the extra money right now. Hello, Eric. Welcome to Linux Saloon, a place where we discuss tech, open source, and where Eric is always on tap. No, what? I don't know. That doesn't sound right.
Are you only are you only somewhat obsessed?
Almost.
With a certain distro?
Almost.
He's just a little bit obsessed.
Yes.
Just only this much.
Yes.
Almost obsessed.
Almost an healthy obsession.
So what's going on?
Well, we just had a quite the conversation about Jinda's adventures with a mini PC, or rather, a friend of his adventures. He had a discussion. He had his own Linux saloon about Raspberry Pis versus mini PCs. It was a good time.
Yeah, I'm that big of a nerd to be doing CAD and engineering and then talk about that at work.
Hey man, I've spent my life that way. My wife going, wait, okay, you work all day around computers and then you come home and you talk to people about computers. Like, yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, it's the nerd's pretty big.
That's right. It's a lot to talk about.
I see. I don't blame it because I'm kind of in the same boat. When I get done doing like the nerdy work stuff, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do the nerdy play stuff, but it's also going to be kind of for work too at the same time. So I'm still on the VPN or whatever, still working on stuff. But what am I doing? I'm actually playing because I want to test. I'm testing something out. And so, what am I doing at 8 o'clock at night when I should be like doing laundry or something? I'm playing / working. So I get it.
That's right. It can be your hobby as well as your profession, I suppose, because you can do certain things as a profession that you would never ever want to do as a hobby, like administrative things, and then you can do the fun things that you can't get paid for. So there you go.
Well, I'm salary, so it doesn't really matter.
Me too.
Yeah. All right. So apparently Ron is Linux salooning in the dark. So he meant to say quad core. For what it's worth. Anyway, so back to the Strawpoll. If you haven't done the Strawpoll, you can knock that out real quick. Because I'm going to go ahead and read it. So how do you update your Linux distribution? So if you have, I'm going to knock that out real quick. If you have not done so, I was kind of in between two of them, but anyway, we'll see how it goes here. So refresh with any, nope, no replies. So number one answer with 46% of the votes is manually interacting with the package manager via the terminal. And that's probably how I do it. Oh, okay, now it's 47%. It just shifted. That's probably how I do it much of the time, especially since some of the systems I interact with are terminal only. So there's that. In second place with 27.5% of the vote is via the graphical package manager. So I guess like Discover or GNOME software or maybe something else. Doesn't Solus have a graphical manager too? Or like there's like PAMAC and I don't know all of them.
They have a custom one. Yeah.
Okay. MX Linux, I know, has one. Is that how you do it with the MX package manager, Jinda?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's never failed. It's only failed me once.
Curses.
I just went in Synaptic and updated it and it was fine.
So at 12.5% of the votes in third place is via a script. So I don't know if that's an automated, I guess maybe they do like packages and other things, like Flatpak at the same time. I don't know. And then in fourth place with 7.5% of the vote, distro is set to automatically update. And then tied for fifth place is via Ansible and Tux Penguin. So there we go. I don't know how to use Ansible for such things. I'm sure you got to be like a kind of a whiz kid for that, I'm guessing.
You have to have a license.
A license to Ansible. Is it like driving?
You have to. That's right. That's right. You'll get pulled over, sir. Let me see your license.
Yeah. You are not permitted to Ansible.
That's right. That's right. Don't let me catch you doing this again. Actually, that's a question that popped into my head. So I do it via an alias that I created. So I just have like a sysup is my alias, and it's basically sudo apt update and sudo -y upgrade and ampersand flatpak update. Yeah, update -y. So it's a single command line with the ampersands, and I used to search my history for it like habitually, and then it occurred to me one day, I was like, I could just do that as an alias. And so ever since then, I've just had it as a sysup, and so I just type sysup, put in my password, and then it just does that in the background. And I think I prefer the command line simply because you can see the output of it, and if like there's a D package is broken because, something it tried to update or install didn't work right, or there's a PPA that's down, or I don't know, whatever might happen during an update. I like the verbosity of the terminal being able, it just kind of tells you exactly what's wrong, and then you can deal with it versus a package manager. I don't know. Even the best ones, I just feel like there are times where it just hasn't worked that efficiently. So
I think that's why I like the one in MX Linux, because it basically runs the terminal.
Yeah, MX, I agree with you. It's same thing with their installer. That's why I love,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have to say, I have to admit, I've been using Discover more often now to do updates like just my desktop.
Oh, okay.
Because it takes care of the Flatpak, the RPMs. It also does like, excuse me, firmware updates too. So if you have like a dock station or something that needs updates, it does all that stuff. It takes care of everything. And let's say 9 times out of 10, it's been just fine. I mean, I think it's probably an edge case, but because I have a lot of repositories and I'm not as many as I used to, but especially when I had more repositories, if there was like a mismatch of packages, you can't do the manual intervention with Discover. So it'll just not let you update, which is, irritating. But I don't know. I think if, then I can just do it in the terminal if I have to. But
Does it tell you though, like if something does happen, does it give you enough information to deal with it?
Yep.
Okay.
It basically says, and even says you can copy the error to clipboard, and I know exactly what it is. Either it doesn't handle the GPG package, GPG key updates automatically. Like it doesn't handle that. It also doesn't handle if there's a change in repositories because, like, let's say because I'm not doing it anymore. But when I ran like some newer stuff, it didn't like it if something required like a couple of changes, whatever. So that didn't like that. But for the most part, it works very well. I think it'd be if you ran like I think Leap, it would be a non-issue. But it does handle it properly. The tumbleweed, I should say, because I let Discover do its thing, and then I would check the sudo zipper dump in the terminal to trust but verify, right? And then it'd be like nothing to do. Like, okay, well, I guess it did its job.
I do like having a graphical package manager. I mean, at least a notification in the tray to remind me.
Mm-hmm.
Although I tend to I kind of do it when I think about it because I'm not using a rolling distro, so I don't need to update most of the time. But
right.
But I do like having when some sort of notification to let me know that they're there.
Yeah, it's like a weekly. It's like a weekly-ish thing for me because like I don't need it. I don't need to keep it updated, but like usually like Saturday morning is when I do updates for my stuff at home, and that seems to be working out pretty well for me. Unless I need to install something, then I'll do it in the middle of the week.
Was one of the Strawpoll answers automated updates?
Yes.
Yes,
it was.
Did anybody say they did?
Yep. 7.5%. So in fourth place. Yep.
Because I would guess that setting up a system for someone else, like a parent or relative or something, you would turn on automated updates and then just kind of trust that they were working. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the problem though is you have to then reboot, and sometimes that's the the clincher there.
Yeah, I gotcha.
So Ron in chat says sudo apt update ampersand ampersand. Is there like a term for that, like the double ampersand? Do you say double ampersand? How would you?
I think double ampersand is probably
that?
smarter than. Yeah, that's probably smarter than saying ampersand.
Yeah, double ampersand.
That's right.
Is it? Am I saving on? No, I'm not. Sudo apt upgrade tac y because I live on the edge.
I do it too.
Oh.
Yeah.
So Ben's Tech Room says, I use Nala, by the way. I think, did I miss that? He must have said something else. Oh, he uses Vagrant and VirtualBox. Sometimes they don't reboot themselves nicely on their own. If I had a way to run Proxmox, I'd let it reboot on their own too. So Sean says, I set up automatic updates in the Nix config and have it garbage collect, keeping the last 15 days worth of OS snapshots to roll back to if needed. I'd like to hear a little bit more about his Nix experience. Because I've been, it was like it was like all the rage for a while. I heard on all the podcasts, and then I don't hear about it as much lately. So I think we need to have a special Sean edition. Let's see here. And then Steve's very own, apparently he didn't know what show this was. He says, hey, here's a question. Why does anyone know where the drones are coming from?
The drones over New Jersey.
I guess. I just heard today that I guess a lot of them are just airplanes and people are just freaking out, because they're afraid. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I wasn't there. I didn't see it. I can't say. I think, just trust your government, I guess. They won't let you down.
You know, interestingly here, so I'm reading that the double ampersand is interpreted as the and operator. So, I mean, I guess if you were to say and operator, then and if you were smart enough or knew enough, you would say, oh, that's a double ampersand. So I think saying double ampersand is probably the most specific way to refer to it, but I think you could also then programmatically say the and operator. So
I got you.
there you go.
I'll probably go with double ampersand because if I said the and operator, people might think just plus. Also, maybe some confusion there because that, yeah. I don't know. Let's see. Oh, Steve's Very Own is complaining that there's no fart command because if you watch a Steve's Very Own stream, you can fart on his stream. So, but see, Steve, in this stream, we're all older than 12. We're actually 13 here.
Thank you. Yes, exactly.
So War Thunder says, I usually update between once a week to once a month since I run Mint. There's usually some amount of flat packs or debs to update. Yeah, security patches and whatnot, I'm sure. Let's see. Vince says, I guess there isn't LOL, Linux out loud, or is he laughing out loud? I don't know. Jonas Connect says ampersand ampersand. So I guess there's a vote for that.
There you go. As long as we all pick a different way to refer to
for
it,
sure.
then that'll be perfect. Yeah.
Quick question. Does most distros use the same command in regards to the updates? Like the sudo app update, sudo app upgrade?
No, those
Depends on the. Oh, sorry. Go.
Go ahead. You know, you're more knowledgeable than I am.
No. I was just going to say it depends on the underlying distribution. So I'm using Pop! OS, which is a derivative of Ubuntu, which itself is a derivative of Debian. And so Debian-based systems use the apt package manager. And if you're using something like OpenSUSE, yeah. What does MX use, Jinda?
No, MX is
Debian.
Debian. It's Debian, so I use the sudo app.
Oh, it's just Debian? Okay, I wasn't
it's
sure
just
what it was
Debian.
based on. Okay. Yeah, so if you were using Fedora or OpenSUSE, then it's RPM. And Nix has its own
DNF.
package manager. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be
DNF
sudo
in,
DNF, wouldn't it? Update.
Yeah,
For
DNF
Fedora.
and open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zipper
Oh,
for
right, it's
OpenSUSE.
DNF. Yeah, you're right. But
But
it's using the RPM package
Yes,
format, I guess.
yes.
But if you, I think in OpenSUSE still, I haven't done it in a while, but you can actually still use the apt commands in OpenSUSE. It'll just run the equivalent zipper
Oh,
commands.
it's the alias the
Yeah.
commands. That's right.
Oh.
I forgot
Yeah.
about that.
So in a
Go ahead.
roundabout way, yes. But also, if you're using like an Arch-based distribution, or probably Nix is different. I mean, it depends.
Right. StormOS is an Arch base, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because remember when I was trying it out, the sudo app thing didn't work for me.
That's correct. It's Pac-Man.
You've
Gotta use
ventured
Pac-Man for
into
that.
Pac-Man territory there, which is probably one of the most esoteric. I mean, talk about like flags that make no sense, or
Yeah.
So Vince is doing a little trolling in the chat, which is good. This is what I encourage. Troll away. So he says Pac-Man, tac capital S lowercase YYU gang when, and then he follows it up with SYYY. I don't know what that would even do at this point. I'm not sure. And then he smiles because that's what he does. Good times. I like that. I like that a lot. And then Redbeardy McGee says, I call the double ampersand as and, but I get this. Pipe is or. I don't know. I'm not. I think it's pipe. The verticals are pipe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's pipe,
pipe.
I think. I'm
Yeah.
pretty
So
sure.
pipe is or.
Yes, pipe
Alright.
is or.
Okay.
Yes.
Is it? Is that what it means?
So
I never
double
knew
pipe
that.
is so double ampersand is and the and
Yeah.
operator, and then double pipe is or operator. Yeah.
Oh,
And then-
Meaning that whatever's on either side could be true, and it's all of those operators basically are trying to resolve to true or false. And so if you're saying, if it's something can be this and that could be a true statement, or this can be this or this, and is that a true statement or a false statement? So
Then
computers are really dumb. they really only understand like very basic pieces of information.
unless you have a lot of things in parallel, and then you have whatever.
They're
War
very
Thun-
good at that yes, the yes and no. They're very good at that.
Yep. War Thunder says, "Gotta run the Pac-Man followed by spaghetti soup."
That's it. Pac-Man dash SYUU.
Yeah. Now, Ron Singh says, "Dash capital S and a bunch of Z's. Why is Tay with Debian Nast stuff apt is where it's at." Yeah. So I like this.
That's just like if you can tar a file or untar a file, and you know what all those flags are, the VFJ.
Yeah.
I still have to look this up 20 years later. I'm still, every time I do a tar command, it's like, you'd think I would remember this by now.
No.
No.
You're not supposed
depends
to.
how often you do it, I suppose, isn't it?
That's true.
And if
That
you
is
do
true.
it, if you do it every day, you remember it. If you don't, then you
Yeah.
won't remember it.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I don't think you're supposed to remember that one. So if you run fish shell, what you can do is you start typing it, and then you hit the up key, and everything that you've done previously related to that will kind of pop through. That's my little cheat sheet right there. Just because I'm
Oh, you like fish? You
Oh,
use-
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
the friendly or the fun. I forget what it's called. Friendly or fun?
There was something about the way, I don't know, maybe there was a way to tune it, but there was something about the way it was auto completing that I think kept messing me up. And after a little while, it bothered me to a point where I was like, okay, I'm done with fish because of specifically what you're saying. But I have a sense that there's a lot of flexibility in the way that works. I just didn't have the patience to.
Yeah, so
do it.
there are some things like I have some bash scripts that I have to specifically say bash for, otherwise they won't work with fish in general. So I have to just invoke that. But it's not, it's onesie twosie things, not a big deal. It's fine.
So you were using fish, but you couldn't tuner it. Is that what the problem was?
Yeah, this is
Sorry, you gotta have to leave now, Colin.
this is. I think you sardine that right on the head. So I don't even know
Yeah,
what
he did
is.
it just for the halibut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that being said, yeah, I fish kind of that's my cheat. And then also I have console has a bunch of other little fun little dealy bops with it too for that. But anyway, that said, there was a message here. I don't know if maybe we should cover this now or not. I may as well. It's fresh in the mind, and maybe we don't have an answer for it. Where'd it go? See this whole YouTube keeps jumping on me. I've heard of other people complaining about this, but I'm trying to look through the chat here. So Rudy's Retro Intel. He must be a smart guy, right? Rudy Retro says off topic. Does anyone know if the cups vulnerability is fixed? Do we know if the cups vulnerability is fixed?
That was a pretty, you had to have didn't you have to have physical access to the machine? And
I think so. I remember somebody talking about that.
yeah, that was a
actual-
few months ago. And I think it was pretty low likelihood, if I'm remembering correctly. I would think they fixed that, but again, it's going to be based. The severity ends up being the score they assign it is based on the likelihood of it being exploited. So the severity can be, so the outcome of exploiting it can be pretty terrible, but if the likelihood is very, very low, then the severity will still be low. So I'm not entirely sure. Yeah.
So according to from Ubuntu.com, their blog, they said the cups remote execution code execution vulnerability fix is available. So that's as of 26th of September. So it's,
Okay.
so they said the four CVE IDs have been assigned. That together form a high impact exploit chain surrounding cups. Canonical Security Team has released updates for the cups browsed, cups filler, lib cups filters. I'm sorry, filters, cups filters, lib cups filters, and lib PPD packages for all supported Ubuntu LTS releases. So, there was they applied those. My guess is if Ubuntu does it, they push that upstream to like, I'm pretty sure they push that upstream to Debian. At least I'm pretty confident they do. So I'm going to say it's probably taken care of.
Yeah.
Also, I pretty much keep all printing stuff locked down on my network. I can at work, but I don't know if there's any cups things at work. That's actually the Windows backup domain controller is also the print server. So for now. Anyway, so hopefully that answers that question for you there, Rudy. Did anybody care about that bug besides Rudy?
I think the severity was just so low that I didn't quite. It didn't do anything in terms of like the way I behave or. Yeah.
I connected my printer to with the cable this time, which I haven't done for many years, and it works fine. So I think it was only a wireless connection, wasn't it? That issue? It was only Wi-Fi connected, wasn't it? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't remember.
Yeah, I think it depends on like which features you're actually utilizing, because there's a lot of features in cups, and so I think it depended on which ones were like I have all the discoverability stuff disabled because I don't want that, so I can't even seek out my own printers internally because I know what the IP address is, and to me that's just easier to, it's less traffic too. They're not being all chatty. I don't want to be too chatty.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure Mint has got it taken care of. I would have a lot of confidence that Mint took care of it. I think it was something like weird and bespoke. Maybe not, but yeah, Mint would be fine. I'm saying that off the cuff. I don't actually know. I'm just assuming. I know there was a little bit of controversy around like how it was addressed by the Cups team, but I guess it got it worked out. Yeah, okay. Well, I guess we'll move on to Act 3, which is the what was it called? Sneeze, achoo, Czkawka, hiccup, and I tell you, I swear, I think I'm like slowly losing my mind. I think it's just like drifting off into Never Never Land. Wow, and I can't even type either. I don't know where the colon is. So, hiccup. Doesn't look like hiccup to me, but okay. Or other file system maintenance tools that you utilize. So, over the years, I've amassed quite a lot of data, and sometimes I'm really good about pruning it manually, and sometimes I'm not. Like if I'm like restoring backups, or like when I built a new server, I just threw everything on there, and I wasn't exactly sure what was done. And also, like I found a bunch of CDs, and I've been, like with a bunch of media, old pictures and files and such. I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I found these. Anyway, so I find that I can build up quite the mess of files. And it was, I think, Michael Tennell, who was here last week. He recommended using Hiccup, not to be confused with Cups, but Hiccup, as one of the the file system maintenance tools to check out. So there's a few of them. But anyway, did anyone here try Hiccup besides me? You did, Jinda, and anybody else? No.
I'm running it now.
Okay.
I just found the search button.
Okay. Now, I would say it's not the most user-friendly interface, but it's got a lot of buttons and, probably it takes a little more time to read through. Anyway, so I thought it was really interesting. I freed up I would say without even digging very hard, I freed up something like 80 gig worth of just duplicate files. I'm not kidding.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh, but that's a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. But what was amazing was that so I was doing, and a lot of this is I was doing a lot of ripping DVDs or pulling these media DVDs for my aunt and uncle that had really old family videos and such, which was really interesting to see my dad in the 80s when he wasn't old, and my mom not being an octogenarian when she's in her maybe 40s, I think. So it was really neat seeing these old videos. And anyway, I was gonna say something, but I don't want that to be on the internet forever. So the very funny pictures of little me, 6-year-old me. It's kind of an awkward kid. Still an awkward adult, so I guess it makes sense. But anyway, so I had renamed some stuff, and apparently I had duplicate files of a lot of that, which is what made up most of that data, and some extra ISOs of OpenSUSE. No surprise there. But what was really neat is they were different file names, but it used some kind of hash to figure out that these are the exact same file. It showed the file sizes, and it knew that they were the same file, even though they were named different things. I thought that was really impressive that it could pull that off. Anyway, so yeah, I freed up 80 gig worth of stuff off my computer, and I'm pretty happy. And I only went through some of it. I didn't go through the entire list. I guess the ones on the top. That's as far as I got. So anyway, how was the experience for you, Jinda?
I ran it actually a few years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe about a year ago. I finally decided one day about a year ago to get rid of this old spinning Rust drive that I forgot that was even in the machine. I only use it for backups, and I only dump things on it every once in a while. So I said, okay, I'm going to transfer all this to an SSD, get an inexpensive SSD that's about the same size and try to get rid of this thing. And I did use it and saved, I forget what it was. It was significant though. It was 10 gig or something of me being more stupid than anything. I mean, I'm surprised I had so many copies of something I didn't need with one with the size.
Yeah.
A
So
lot of this stuff. Sorry, go ahead.
no, you talk.
I was just going to say a lot of the stuff that I found was, and I assume obviously the longer you run any given install of a distribution, the more likely, I guess, that you're going to have duplicates. But it depends on how you treat how you deal with your personal data. I have a specific disk that's dedicated to just all of my home directory data that I move forward with each successive install. So that data kind of sits and stays. It doesn't get overwritten very often. But my home directories do. And even still, when I run this, a lot of what I'm seeing is configuration files. So Vivaldi, under configuration has this c2.pt file. And so each profile or each extension, I guess, has a different copy of it. And so I have 2 of those files. And now I don't know that they're actually duplicates though. And that's the thing. I don't know that I would say, yeah, go ahead and delete those because they're using the same file name. But I guess I didn't read enough to know, is this checking to see that it is bit for bit the same exact file, or is it just the name, or
So
yeah.
I'm not sure. They have different, for lack of a better term, they have different hash programs or libraries that they use. So it does go through and it does search based on some criteria, some mathematical
smart,
hashing.
just-
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it did figure out that there was duplicate files based on some sort of hashing that it does. So it says, so hey, Blake 3 is the first. Does anybody know Blake? I know Blake. So it's a cryptographic hash function. This is the default because it's very fast. Then they have CRC32, a simple hash function. This should be faster than Blake 3, but it may very rarely have some collisions, whatever that means. XXH3 is very similar to the performance and hash quality to Blake 3, but no cryptographic. So such modes can be easily interchanged. I don't know. It doesn't give me like break it down any further than that, but I'm sure there's different hashes it uses to determine if they're duplicate files. And it was so based on some of the files I went through, because I wanted to verify a little bit closer to that I'm not deleting anything I shouldn't delete, because I don't trust lots of things. But it did find a lot. It did find a lot for sure. So Hiccup also, it could find like similar images, similar videos, music duplicates. It had all these different little functions it could do. And then the big files kind of made me laugh because a lot of them are QCOW2 files for me, and whatnot. But anyway, so I thought it was just really handy. I think I want to play with it a little bit more to be sure, because I kind of wonder. Sometimes I link stuff, and I think it might be like I might think that a link might be the same file or something like that. Because I saw some like two entries, and when I clicked on them, it had the same location for both of them. So like I'm gonna dig into this one just a little bit more before I commit to deleting some of these. But anyway, a lot of those are real easy though. Real easy.
Well, this seems like one of those projects where it started as probably a simple idea, like built out of need of like, my disk keeps running out of space and I'm not sure why or where this is going to. And so I'll look for duplicate files and then, oh, you know what? It bugs me that all these empty directories are here. And, what about temporary files? Like it just sort of grew out of the, just kept organically getting more and more functional. So
yeah,
it's definitely a cool program. I mean, I feel like I do a pretty good job of hygiene, disk hygiene, if you want to call it that. But I would actually be more interested in running this on my file server than on my local system, because I guarantee you that my NAS is full of duplicate like pictures and stuff like that. Back whenever I was, whenever I had a camera with an SD card, and then I wasn't sure, did I already dump these or not? I better make a copy of them just in case.
So my understanding also is some file systems like Btrfs is supposed to have deduplication. So there's two files in the same. It knows how to prevent them from being duplicated. So maybe that only works if it's completely identical and not just somewhat identical. I don't know. But I have noticed that is a thing, because if I compare, I have like 1 terabyte of storage. This is a while ago, but a 1 terabyte of storage on one computer with Btrfs, another one with XFS. Even though they're both the same, like they're both synchronized with each other, the one with XFS would fills up before the ones with Btrfs. Like I have to go through and trim stuff down on that one more so than the others. It's more full, even though it's the same data set. So maybe there's some compression going on too. I don't know. I don't think I've activated compression. Ooh, so Vince says, in response to what you said, in other words, Eric is advising to practice safe disking.
I'm not going to go any further than that. I'll agree with him and say yes. Vince was out today doing Christmassy things, and I have
Is that
a
why he's
feeling
all wound up?
Yeah, I have a feeling he's a little spicy today. Yeah, he's got a little.
I spent a little too much hot cocoa, huh?
Yeah. Don't forget it's summertime in down under right
Oh,
now.
yeah, that's right. Colin just said the heat was really oppressive or something like that, which to me, that sounds delightful. Because here,
Yeah, well, he's after lunchtime. He's after lunchtime there, so I'm only 10 o'clock.
Oh. Wow, you're that far ahead in the future.
So he must have had a spicy lunch.
Oh no, you know what? Those pictures might have been from yesterday then. Or from this morning. I don't know, because he sent them earlier today, and they were of the. I think he was in Sydney, and the big Christmas tree and like all that stuff. So.
Where do they have pine trees in Australia? Total side tangent, but I'm just curious. Do they have really? You have evergreens there?
Not far from where I live, there's a big massive amounts of pine trees along there. So,
okay.
And they do sell Christmas trees as pine trees as well. So, but most people use artificial, to be honest.
Oh my gosh!
These days it's all about the lights on the houses these days, to be honest.
Huh.
I mean, is that an artificial one in your background, Nate, or is that real tree?
This one's artificial. It never, excuse me, it never actually was put away from last year. Not because I was lazy, but because when I took the real tree down, which I have goats, and the goats like evergreens, so they'll eat the evergreens. Anyway, the Christmas tree in the house, the big one, when it was time to take it down, because it was time to take it down. You know what I mean? Like it's losing its needles, it's dry, and it's, we're approaching dangerous here. The kids protested, and they wanted they said, well, can we just put up a different tree, or, whatever. They really didn't want the tree to go down. And because I'm a sucker, a pushover, whichever, I took the tree that I had here last Christmas out here, and I brought it into the house, and then I made it January colors, like green, white and blue. And then I changed it to, basically just like the house, I changed colors for every season. I did the same thing with the tree. And then I get lazy between May and September. I just leave it red, white, and blue for America,
I have to say, there's nothing better than a fresh smell of a pine tree at Christmas time.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
I have a brother-in-law who's
it
allergic
does smell
to them.
Pretty awesome.
It does. I like the smell of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Can you believe it? Allergic to pine trees?
Yeah. We did one once, and it took like literally years. We were finding needles still. Like it just, if you can find a healthy one that hangs in there and holds on to its needles, and you don't try to keep it too long, then it's a good job, good thing to have. But yeah, it's you can definitely. It's such a mess. We had them when I was a kid, and yeah, it was like for months we would be finding needles and things. But
all right. So funny you say that. Now I'm pretty good about keeping my house, vacuumed and cleaned and everything else. Sometimes, sometimes computers stay out for a little bit, but that's a me problem. So, but I was getting rid of a piece of furniture in my living room I was rearranging stuff. And when I pulled it away from the wall, I found some pine needles from the previous Christmas. So Vince says artificial trees.
It'd be nice if someone invented. Oh.
No, you go ahead. No. I want to hear. If someone invented.
I was going to say it'd be nice if someone invented like a Christmas tree that's just what do you call those things that would just automatically come up like a what would you call it? I can't remember what it's called now.
Like an umbrella?
It just reflects a Christmas tree. No, like a digital thing,
a hologram.
Like a hologram.
Hologram, that's it. Yeah, like just put it next to the window and hit the button, and bang, there's your Christmas tree.
Yeah, they're called artificial.
Nice.
You can buy them at Walmart.
Do they exist or not? Holograms for Christmas trees. I know you can get these reflection things that you put on the windows. That play movies. You can get those, can't you?
I suppose you could do that with just blast some light on there, I suppose. So Vince, who lives in your neighborhood, says artificial trees are a practical consideration. Real cut trees would be dead within a week in the heat. Yeah, it makes sense.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, I think we used to put them in put some water at the bottom of it, and sort of just keep it sort of topped up. But yeah, it can be with the heat. It can be pretty difficult to keep the tree going. To be honest,
Yeah.
That's why I think we all use artificials in this part of the world.
See, I like to go. So there's a Christmas tree farm it's like 20 minutes from my house. And I take the kids there. They have like a nice like Christmas shop. So we get like some ornaments, and it's all, a little bit pricey, but it's like made locally and things. So I go there, get some ornaments. They have like, hot cocoa and cookies, and they have like horse-drawn wagons and such, so you can go out to get your tree up. It's like a really nice fun thing. And is it the cheapest way to go about getting a tree? No, but when my kids are older and they're not having Christmas with dear old dad anymore, they're going to remember those, have those good quality memories.
Absolutely,
That's what I care about.
Yep.
So.
Yep, for sure.
Was it a few bucks extra? Yeah. Also, I know the family. I've actually known them for most of my life, so nice family too. And I want to make sure they keep, planting trees. And they obviously they plant new trees because they gotta, sell them years later.
Yep.
So Ron says dry pine needles are pretty electrostatically charged. So when my kids were much younger, we kept a pine going till March, and them needles would be up all over the family room and the den. Yeah, it's almost like they have a life of their own. That's quite long. All right. So as far as file maintenance tools, get back to actually that. Is there any other file maintenance tools that you guys have used?
Stacer.
Oh, really, Stacer?
Yeah. Stacer.
What is?
I think that was a system.
Yeah, but
thing.
it's got a few things in it, like package removal stuff. It's got some stuff in there. I mean, Stacer's got a lot more in it than I thought. I don't use it that often, but I have used it I did try it in the past.
Okay.
That's not really the other one that I always use is GNOME Disk Utility, but that's not really a file manager.
Well, I mean, it's like just file maintenance. So whatever. I mean, disk manager seems like that'd be something. Well, I'm actually curious.
Yeah.
So, what is a specific like? Doesn't Stacer some kind of like a temporary file clean out like history or browser history, something like that?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got like package caches and stuff like that, and application caches, cleanups, stuff like that.
Okay.
It's got a good search in it too, that I've used in the past. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think it's that popular, Stacer. I think some people who like it, and if you're just not into it, you don't use it that much.
I want to say it's sort of it hasn't had any updates in a while.
Yeah, I bet it hasn't, because I haven't used it in a while. But I was looking through all those types of programs that I have installed here, and that was one of them that came up. The disk utility came up from GNOME. That's how I copied my buddy's Windows PC with disk utility. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't believe how easy it worked. Within 15 minutes, I copied the entire drive to another one.
Is Stacer a flat pack as well, or is?
I didn't see it.
It's an app image.
Oh, it's an app image.
Oh, app image, is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's an app image. It doesn't Ubuntu have an Ubuntu cleaner? I remember that from the past when I was searching for stuff. I've never used it. I've never ran Ubuntu. I only ran it once and I didn't like it.
Yeah, it's like 2019 was the last update, so 5 years ago.
You're right. Okay.
I think worth checking out regardless. I'm not gonna download it now because I'm a little bit concerned about my bandwidth. But I'll put a link in the show notes as well as in the chat. So if someone wants to check that out. I mean, I know it hasn't had an update in a while, but I still use Office 2007 from time to time, so I think that's fine. You said what was
So
the
I
other
can
one?
see
You used?
this hiccup being.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to talk on hiccup.
Okay.
Just say I can see it being an advantage for somebody, but probably not too worthwhile for me. I try to keep a clean house as I go. You know,
Oh, you're one of those responsible
trying
types.
to delete things when well, sort of. I mean, it does get out of control every now and then, but yeah, I don't know whether that's for me, but it searches pretty well. I'm assuming that once you search anything on this left-hand side, these categories on the left-hand side, if they're relevant, then it'll show something, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, and then you can just you have to like hit
Just
search after you like select one of those and hit search. Then it'll
Yeah,
do
I
the
hit
process.
search. Yeah, so the only thing that comes up on under these categories on the left is similar images, but I only search my documents, but on one of my hard drives, but every other category shows nothing. So I have to assume that they're not relevant under that search. So
Okay. So Jenny, you were gonna say something about is it BleachBit or is it?
Yeah, BleachBit would be one of the ones that I've used a lot in the past. If I'm installing a computer for someone else, I always run BleachBit because it removes like anything out of the terminal that you typed in before. It cleans out your cache for the internet really good. It's really nice if you want to pass a PC on to someone else and you don't want them looking at a bunch of dumb stuff that you were doing while you were setting it up. Because when I set something up, I'm always surfing the web or something, or screwing around or doing something I shouldn't be doing on it.
Gotcha. So BleachBit. All right, let me see if I can find a.
I don't know if you guys have never ran
yeah,
that
that's
one?
been around for a long time.
That's been around for a long time.
I have used it before. Every now and then you get a distro that's got BleachBit, and it's also got BleachBit with root. And
Yes, yes.
But you got to be really careful running that as root because you could just mess things up big time, right?
Yeah, you probably could, but that's just the fun of it.
Also, if you have some servers or something that you need to cover up some nefarious behavior you've been doing, that's great for that too. I've heard. So
You don't know that from a personal experience, Nate?
Nope, not from personal. I would never have to do that. But I've heard of people using it for such things. So, and welcome, Adam. He comes in as we're talking about BleachBit. I'm sure that's something he uses regularly. But I think it's good though. Yeah, I think it's good to like have those tools if you have to wipe something. So
I don't know. I've always found those tools to be more problematic than useful.
Really? Okay. Like BleachBit or just any of them?
Just the general cleaner apps, like
okay.
they tend to take more things than they really should, and it causes problems later.
Yep.
Kind of like the cleaners at a hotel.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
You tell them to leave your bag alone, but yeah. No, I mean it's one of those like unforeseen consequences kind of thing, like unintended consequences, where you're like, oh yeah, it's all clean, I got all my space back, and you don't realize what it cleaned out until later something breaks because it cleaned it out, and by that time you're not even sure why it's not working because you've long since forgotten you did that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, very good point. Vince says, please don't use these apps on a server.
Yeah.
I never have. I just don't think it's a good idea. But
something tells me he said that from experience. I'm just telling
probably.
you.
I wouldn't doubt it. So another application that I've used pretty regularly is it's generally installed automatically on Linux systems, or I should say on Plasma systems. I guess it's not on this one, but it's definitely on this one. It's called, is it Filelight? Let me see here. Yeah, Filelight. It's pretty cool. You can open up a folder, and it'll show you like the usage like per folder. It's kind of a really neat like circular diagram thing. And so I if you just want to look at, just some real basic, like what's taking up all the space, you can then like navigate to where you want to go with it. I think it's pretty cool. It's not my favorite, but I do think it's really handy because it's just right there.
That's a KDE application, huh?
It is, yeah.
Is that right?
It might be for other things too. I'm sure it'll work on other.
Firelight's
desktop
pretty
environments.
fast too.
Yeah, the GNOME equivalent is, it's called Baobab, I think. B-A-O-B-A-B.
In the menu, it just says disk usage analyzer or
Right.
something like that. But
The funny part about us talking about Hiccup is I was playing around installing Elementary 8 to test it and realized that my disk was out of space. Like, I just ran my data disk out of space. I had like 50 megs left. I was like, oops. So now I'm sitting here actually using File Disk Space Analyzer to clean up stuff. Too many virtual machines.
For what it's worth, Anna Rita says, I love that app, Nate. I'm thinking she's saying Filelight? Or is it BleachBit? I don't know. There's, if anyone has used KDE for a long time, in Conqueror, there's a file size view thing in there. That, to me, is my favorite. I don't know if I'm going to say Conqueror is a great file system maintenance tool necessarily, but it's something else to check out too if you run a Plasma system, because it breaks it down into boxes so you can actually see how big each folder is. And just for me, boxes works a little bit better than the Pi, I guess, but the Pi is a lot faster than the boxes. So I use the Pi more often with Filelight than I use the file size view, based on what Adam said earlier. The speed is just pretty much instantaneous. So don't know how they do that.
So it's also broad strokes. It's also broad strokes versus like minute detail. Where
That's a good point.
The Pi is good to just sort of be like, what's this big chunk here, and but the other view is excellent for like the specifics.
Yeah,
it's
and
nice
then
that it has both.
It is. It's good to the right tool for the right job, right? Sledgehammer versus a scalpel.
Yeah.
what's the Windows one? It was like Winderstat or something like that.
Winderstat, that's it. And it has a little Pac-Man going back and forth.
Yeah. They put it in like a brick thing, right? Like it's like a bunch of bricks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of an interesting view, but yeah. Which actually the one for GNOME does the same thing. There's a little toggle down on the bottom. They call it a tree map chart versus a rings chart.
Oh, okay.
But it does the same thing. And then you can click into it and it kind of does a drill down thing.
So Vince says, ncdu great for terminal use until you accidentally delete your main data drive. Also something I have never done.
Wow, Vince is on fire today.
He is. Yes, it's a terminal
He's
application.
Mr. Cautionary Tale.
Yeah. I've used that one too before. In fact, it was Eric, it probably was like 4 or 5 years ago that you recommended I try that out, ncdu. I think it was talking like in Biddle or something, or maybe it was our DLN Extend or whatever. But we did. You recommend ncdu, and that's a great terminal application as well for finding file sizes.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Yeah, Winderstat is the shh. It's quiet. It does its job quietly, I guess. Any other suggestions? Things that should be we should share with the class?
I don't know. That reminded me of my uncle who used to call Windows the Winders.
Nice.
He bought a machine. This is back in like the late 90s. Bought a machine from like Circuit City or something, and called my dad up, and he was like, "Hey Tony, guess what? I'm on the Winders."
Oh, Georgia.
Yeah. Well, he was actually from Louisiana, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
I can't affect his accent, but he did say Winders.
That's a southern accent, isn't it? Is that called a southern
Yeah.
accent?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They're actually Cajun, so it's a little different, but yeah.
I don't know what that
Love it.
means. Cajun versus whatever. I should, but I don't.
Creole?
I'm culturally a little bit, something.
Yeah. Don't worry about it.
I know what Cajun food tastes like, and that's delicious.
It comes from Cajun people. Food
So I
song.
should
so I
associate
think-
the voice with delicious food.
No, that was the wrong voice.
Oh,
You can find Cajun people online.
wasn't it was a Adam Sandler movie.
The Water
It's a
Boy.
Waterboy.
Oh,
There we go.
Waterboy. Yep.
That was a very bad representation of those
It's a
people.
high quality H2O. Yeah, that was such a terrible movie. You've thrown them foosballs. Why do I
Yeah.
remember all of that? Of course,
Yeah.
because it's terrible.
That's what made it great.
It's called trauma, Eric.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you can't forget the terrible things, and all the good things go
Yeah.
slipping through your fingers.
That's really how it goes, man.
It is.
So I just
Real
watched Pixels. Have you seen that movie? It came out in 2015. It's on Netflix right now, and it's an Adam Sandler movie, and it was kind of a video game themed. It was, I mean, the whole movie was kind of a stretch. The plot was exceedingly thin, but I enjoyed it.
I want to say that Adam Sandler and Eddie Murphy sort of both took this divergent path of like they went off and they've made dozens of movies that I've never even heard of. And so whenever I happen to come across one of them, I'm like, there was one recently I saw on Adam Sandler. It was him and I don't know, probably Drew Barrymore because she just has to be in all of them as well.
Right.
But it was like a terrible. They were like on
50
vacation.
First Dates?
No, that one actually I didn't dislike. That was kind of cute. 10 second Tony. Was that what it was? Where he like forgets every 10 seconds. I thought that was a funny character. But anyway, no, this was just some terrible watered down like money grab. People watch it because it's these famous people. Anyway, and there are so many of those that I've never heard of that, the same thing with Eddie Murphy where they just made all the like clumps and whatever else. It's like somebody's watching them. I don't know who, but yeah.
Oh, you didn't like Nutty
I thought
Professor?
the movie
Sorry, I didn't.
Nutty Professor was brilliant. That was excellent. I thought the movie Click was very good. What can you say? Life lesson.
Yeah, it was.
The movie Click. I don't know if you've seen.
I have.
Yeah.
That's actually I mean, so it's a comedy because it's Adam Sandler, but like when you get toward the end of that movie, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a tragedy, not a comedy anymore, because like he want to skip all
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, like I did not.
Yeah.
Like that's a difficult movie to swallow, for sure. But it was funny, but also not funny. I guess maybe you could say that about all Adam Sandler movies. I guess, but yeah. Anyway, Pixels, kind of it was a fun movie to watch for sure, but kind of like what is it? John Wick. Not really much of a plot line there, but it was a fun watch. All four of them, for whatever reason. Very thin plot, but whatever. Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned John Wick. I find that Keanu Reeves did a better job acting in Cyberpunk 2077 than he did in John Wick.
He didn't have any
Even
lines.
Yeah, there's not really anything to act there. It's just sort of like it's basically the equivalent of what's his face in all the spaghetti westerns, Clint Eastwood. Like, you could call that acting.
Oh, right, yeah.
It wasn't.
It's more dancing, right?
It's yeah. It's basically
It's all choreography, so it's all
right.
at the end of the day,
Exactly.
dancing.
I mean, and the John Wick stuff is fun just because of that, because of how I actually watched them all back to back earlier this year. When I was sick and in the hospital, and I just was like, okay, I'm going to do the John Wick Fest. And it was fun to watch as they progress through the movies to become more and more like outrageous and like some of the choreography and stuff. And
The falling down the concrete stairs, though, that was like,
oh,
you'd be dead.
100%. I mean, yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, he would have been dead 100 times over most of the movies, like when he's getting. Oh, and come on, can we please just agree that the bulletproof suits are just stupid? Like, I actually went and read like a whole. There is this argument on Reddit, of course, about the validity of a bulletproof vest where you could just hold up a piece of cloth like this and a bullet is going to bounce off of you. And the people were like, you have to suspend disbelief. Like it's a cartoon movie, basically. Like
Yeah.
they are not.
Yeah.
There's
It's like live action anime, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And if you do that, then yes, it's actually fun. But if you're like trying to go, hey, come on, then no. Yeah.
Well, the other good part to wrap it into technology, the best part I thought of the whole John Wick movies is when they like the underground area had all this like old vintage technology. They had VIC-20s in there. That made me happy.
Oh man, you had to mention that. I just remembered. So the Game Awards is like a yearly, kind of like the Oscars for games. It's a pretty big production and everything. That happened a couple of days ago. And at the very end of the award show, they showed a trailer for a game by a studio, Naughty Dog. I don't know if you guys heard of them. Uncharted, Last of Us, those folks. Crash Bandicoot.
Oh, I know that one.
And so they showed a trailer for a game that they're still working on called I don't even remember. It's some wacky title, but it was this chick in a spacesuit or a spacecraft, right? And they're talking about like bounty hunting. It seemed like that kind of thing, but it was really cool because like it's in space, but all the tech is like super like retro. So they had like CRTs in the ship. And then she puts on music by like turning on this Sony like head unit that's like looks like a mixing board, and it grabs a CD out of like a CD changer to put in music. It's all but she's like in space, right? So it's like you got space flight, but we're still rocking like CDs. And they had a bunch of like logo, like her shoes were like classic Adidas, and like the ship was made by Porsche and everything.
Nice.
It was
that.
wild, but it was
that.
so good. I don't remember the name of the game, but
Yeah, that juxtaposition of like, this you would presume to be, but then here we are with
I hear it is
Voyager.
Intergalactic the Heretic Prophet is Intergalactic is the name.
Nice.
And it's if you get a chance to look at that trailer, it's amazing. And it's all running on a PS5, and I have a hard time believing it is, but they say it is.
Wow, no, you mean for like
it looks incredible.
Oh, cool. Okay. I have to remind myself though, every time that Voyager reports back in and you're just like, how is this machine still operating? And
Right.
it's the most simplistic programming and hardware possible. And somehow it just keeps, finding ways to get back to, like it's turns on some random like subsystem and secondary array. And like, it's just wild to read the stories of like how that thing just keeps going. And,
So-
Right. And due to like the huge distance, it's like it's saying lol to a tweet from 10 years ago.
yeah.
So the thing that I find amazing about that is, I watch all these like vintage YouTubers that like get these old, so Usagi Electric, I think is the name of one of them. I can't remember. The name is so hard for me. That Rabbit is kind of the logo. Anyway, he's like restoring these mini computers from the 70s and whatnot, and they require so much work to get operational again. And and yet Voyager is somehow still chugging along. Does it have tape on it? Does it have like a real
I
world tape?
honestly, I mean, I know that a lot of that stuff was bespoke. They just sort of like built the systems for that purpose. It wasn't like
Yeah.
anything off the shelf, but no, I mean, you're talking about physical memory, right? I mean, like the rings of memory, you know what I mean? It's wild to think how rudimentary, and maybe that's why it's so dependable, is that it is just so rudimentary. Like there's no, I mean, at that point, you're just like, as long as the materials themselves don't degrade to a certain degree, I guess they will keep functioning. But yeah, it is amazing. I don't know, that kind of stuff makes me happy. I'm not a huge like vintage tech nerd, but yeah, the resiliency of stuff like that is pretty incredible.
So I was listening to a podcast. It was today or yesterday or something, and there was some comment made about how the more advanced tech is the least like durable or least like sustainable technology.
Mhm.
I know that's like completely true, but it was kind of made me wonder, like, some of this like tech from the 70s, whatever, they can get it working again using some modern technology, whatever. But like if everything just like, if all economics just collapsed, the whole like whatever, and knowledge was lost, internet was shut down, just because nothing, call it EMP, whatever, how people would respond to like, we used to have these rocks, that people describe like how calculators worked or how the internet worked, whatever, a cell phone, that was a calculator, but like a cell phone. And then, as the stories passed down after the loss of technology, it'd be like, they could see the world through these, through like black glass or rocks or whatever, and they could do all these amazing things. And then, how all these like tales of magic from the past. I wonder if they were just actually a technology that's just been lost over time. More
You're
than anything
basically
else.
talking about what there's another game, Horizon Zero Dawn and Forbidden West. That's what the whole premise of that game is.
Oh, I didn't
It's
know
like, yeah, after like an apocalypse, like humans come back and all the old stuff is like consider like this tribe considers like the ruins of the old world as like evil and demonic and all that, and it's like just skyscrapers and people's like stuff and whatnot.
that. That's kind
It's
of
a pretty
wild.
neat game. You guys should play more games. Just saying.
Well, I'd like to think
I
that
think you're right.
Starfleet's not too far away, and then we're going to be exploring the worlds and seeking out new life, new civilizations. So that's what I'm
Space
hoping
Force,
for.
baby.
Well, yeah, Starfleet eventually, though, right? Isn't Starfleet more Navy though? Space Force is like part of the Air Force, I think.
Yeah. Yep, I agree with that.
So, and I don't want like a Battlestar Galactica future either. I don't want Cylons. So that has me a little worried.
Yeah. I can't remember for Battlestar Galactica if the lore was that did we already have the Battlestars, or were they built as a response to the Cylons?
No, they're already there. But they were old tech, and so the Cylons couldn't take over those ships because the automation was not
Well,
there.
and all the systems were cordoned off, like none of them were networked. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think it depends
No,
on
I mean,
which Battlestar Galactica.
So what were the purpose? We're getting way off in the weeds. I just would ask, like, what would be the purpose of a Battlestar for just like a terrestrial Earth, or was it that we were already settling other worlds?
It was another world, and they're trying to find Earth.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, and then there's Vince, salty Vince, swimming in the ocean.
Hey guys,
Hello.
Oh,
I heard there was talk
Chickens.
about Voyager, so I'm only here to represent Captain Janeway fans.
Different Voyager.
Right on.
We're trying the real Voyager.
Here I was trying to roll up Michael.
Yeah, we were talking about, like, the actual real life Voyager.
Yeah, but you can definitely
I
present.
agree with you. I think Voyager is also a sleeper. It's a good one if you get into it.
I have a Voyager
agree.
ornament on my tree that you can plug into the lights, but I don't have those kind of lights anymore. So right next to a Yoda, and then like an open SUSE thing. My Christmas tree.
Nice.
The Lost in Space remake. Oh, so Vince, what are you gonna say about the Lost in Space remake?
I was never really into Lost in Space. So, meh.
Oh, I was.
Did
So
you
the original though?
Did you see the one on Netflix?
Used to be on TV when I was a kid.
Yeah, I watched that one too. Danger, Will Robinson.
Yeah. Danger, Will Robinson. Oh, the pain, the pain. That should be a Linux reference, right?
If you're using Arch, I think.
So I'd like to bring up something about
Yeah.
pain and Linux.
Sure.
So Intel released their new Battle Mage GPUs. So they had the Alchemist ones was their first dedicated GPUs, and they have a new set of them called Battle Mage, or B580 or whatever the silly name. The B stands for Battle Mage. So you look at reviews from, standard like Windows gamer people, and it's a smash hit, especially for the price. It's a $250 card. So it's pretty cheap as GPUs go, and it performs really well for that price point. However, I saw guys over at Phoronix reviewed it, and on Linux, that's not the case.
Oh no.
It is actually really kind of subpar in Linux.
Oh no.
I think that has a lot to do with Intel's drivers. It's obviously the same hardware, right? So it'd have to be a software issue. And I think Intel's drivers just don't have the same level of like compatibility and finesse that maybe AMD's and Nvidia's do on specifically Linux.
Yeah.
But I was kind of hoping, I was like, man, this would be great. It'd be a nice like price point for a lot of people to jump into Linux gaming because, Intel drivers and stuff are just built in, right? You don't, similar to AMD.
Right.
And like, nope, not the case.
Did you happen to read any like reason as to why? Like, did they? I haven't looked this up, but is there any like? Is it a work in progress? They just haven't released it yet. They're still working some
I think it's
issues out.
I think it's just their drivers are bad because they had a lot in their previous cards. They had a lot of problems with drivers, even on Windows, for those cards, and you spent a lot of time over the past year or so, like refining them. And on Windows, they're in a pretty good spot. There's still some cases where they don't quite operate properly, but they're in a decent spot, enough to perform well enough in comparison to a 4060 or a 7600. But the Linux ones just haven't gotten that same love. That's what it appears like.
I think I feel it's a perennial thing where like we have to really be open about it and talk about it, that there's a lot of sort of waiting for things to come to open source, especially with new architectures like Battle Mage. Like somebody has to dedicate resources to it, and Intel seemingly are dedicating a bunch of the resources to the Windows side of things, right? And so where are the resources for open source going to come from?
Right. It's the same thing with AMD, like they're going to release their 8800 cards or whatever, and will they perform well on day one? Will they even be compatible on day one?
Well, I think though with AMD, their drivers suck initially, like regardless of platform, and they kind of work them.
Yeah.
Kind of work them out a little bit later on.
It's a bold strategy.
Yeah, that's what Microsoft did with Windows in the 90s.
Under promise, under deliver, and improve over time.
And just when everybody's given up hope,
Yeah.
swoop in and make it.
Yeah, and by the time your
mediocre.
drivers are good enough, everyone's on NVIDIA.
So I'm looking at the B5
Explains a lot, actually.
the B580 compared to at least on Counter-Strike 2. This is on Phoronix. looks like it's not so great. Like you're better off with the 470 Super.
Oh, 4070 Super is much more expensive. But compared to like a 4060,
Yeah,
it just falls short.
Yeah, it falls short. It's not too far off though.
When you compare it to Windows, where it's actually much faster than the 4060 in almost every capacity.
Oh, okay. Well, then, yeah, that's something.
Yeah, that's the difference, right? It's slightly behind the 4060, or well behind the 4060, depending on the game in Linux, compared to ahead almost every time by a good margin in Windows.
So the upshot is, what'll happen is, the community will work on this. There'll be some really smart people. They really get the drivers locked in, and then the performance will be great. Like it'll beat out the Windows performance after everyone's moved on to the next thing.
Yeah, so that's the unfortunate thing is, NVIDIA's going to announce new cards at CES. So we got like a month, a little less than a month of Intel being better than the 4060, and then the 5060 comes out, and yeah.
So it looks like, okay, no, never mind. You're right. It's just behind. Yeah, well,
It's just kind of a bummer, like, because that would be such a good card. Like, it'd be a good card to have with good performance, a really good price point, good open source support. It would fully support Wayland without all the weirdness that comes with, the NVIDIA driver and all that. But it's like, man, that's a hard pill to swallow. You purposefully buy an inferior product simply because it fits your narrative. I don't know. That's a rough one.
yeah. Well, I think some of these benchmarks, Grand Theft Auto 5, it looks like it's just a little bit behind.
Or you can buy the card for a Windows box and enjoy how fast it could be.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or just
It's kind of a bummer.
Or you buy it in 6 months and it probably all works itself out.
Yeah, that wasn't the case with Alchemist, so I'm not holding my breath for that one.
Well, you can. You might get a little.
I will pass out.
I'm not gonna tell you can't. Yeah, like it'll be interesting to watch to see what happens with that. I had a lot of, I have really good, with the GPU, the integrated GPUs on the laptop. Seems like the XE, whatever their graphic is, it XE, something like that. What's the?
Yeah, XE, yeah.
Yeah, those seem to work really well. But I mean, I'm not doing any AAA gaming, so I can't. I wouldn't be a good judge of that anyway. I probably, if I were to get this card, I'd probably be like, wow, this is great. It plays to set fantastic. Look the frame rate on Heretic. I'd be. So I'm not a good judge of that.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, yeah, it plays Portal, awesome, even Portal 2.
But how's the DOS box performance?
Right.
As long as it runs Descent, right?
Exactly. Yeah. If it runs
Yeah,
Descent,
Descent.
then I'm pretty much. That's all we need.
Does it have good DirectX 7 support?
I don't even need that good of that high version of Direct.
Where's
Anyway.
the Glide API?
Yeah.
I remember when that was a thing.
You can still use it.
You can?
DG Voodoo.
Didn't know.
It's a compatibility layer thing for translating Glide into modern stuff.
I did not know that, but lots of things I didn't know. Oh, there's anything else? It'd be interesting to see if there's like some other analysis besides Phoronix, who did very detailed technical analysis, but
That's the hard part because
it's probably
I'm not
just
sure
doing it.
Intel would have seeded review units to many Linux people.
Probably not.
And I mean, I think you can buy them now. Like I think they're actually released for purchase, so maybe more people will purchase them. I mean,
$50.
because they're less expensive than most, right? I get that the $250 is a lot to some people. I'm not trying to sound elitist saying $250 isn't money. I'm just saying, in the scope of GPUs, it's pretty cheap these days.
Right. I mean, I kind of feel like that's what I spent roughly for a graphics card back in the late 90s. I mean, not accounting for
Yeah.
inflation.
It's actually, I was talking to Vince about this thing yesterday. An 8800 GT, so this would have been 2007. This card would have been like an amazing card, like a goat of a card, like an amazing card. And it was $250 at most. Most cards were around 200. And that would have been like the equivalent of like a 4080 now, right?
Right,
Back
yeah.
then. And it was like $200. And now, you know, the 4080 is like 1200, 1300, like 6 times more. Yeah.
Yeah, there's not even any Reddit posts on it, so it's not. It just hasn't been out long enough, I think. Let's see what happens. I guess I'm hopeful still, but
They've become hugely popular. I think they're sold out everywhere
Yeah.
because of the price point.
yeah,
I mean, even for like, people use the Arc GPUs, the Alchemist ones, the ones before. A lot of them use them for like streaming PCs
Mhm.
because they were really inexpensive cards, and they had like AV1 encoding support and all that, so they were really good for like streaming boxes. So if you did like a dual PC streaming setup or something like that, that was a really good choice.
that's cool. Are the Arc cards still being produced, or are those done?
I'm pretty sure they're done with the Alchemist ones, the Battle Mage ones, or the new ones. So
Okay. So
Arc
now
is
being-
their overall brand. Yeah.
Oh,
They
right.
just have different generations, right?
So now would be a good time to pick up an Alchemist card, right?
I mean, you could probably get one pretty cheap, yeah. I mean, you could have got one cheap to begin with, but I think like even the lower end ones, like for just streaming, you could get for like less than $200.
I can't want to play with one of those like extra like eGPU enclosures. Has anyone ever here played with one of those before, like a eGPU
Nah.
type thing? No.
What's the sort of minimum type of? Is it USB-C that you'd be able to run that, or would you want something like
You have
a
to have Thunderbolt, yeah.
Thunderbolt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
You'd have to have
I
a
have
Thunderbolt
looked at
3 or
those,
4.
Nate.
Yeah.
What's that?
A long time. I did look at some of those a long time ago, just checking them out. But I can't remember the name. There was one particular model that, like the case, isn't it? And then you put your GPU in. That's what you're talking about, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah. What's the models that you've looked at? Because I remember, probably 5 or 6 years ago, I was looking at those things, but never eventually went for it. But there was one particular brand I remember that was pretty popular at some point, but I can't remember the name.
I know I saw like a bunch of different. I don't know if there are any name brands necessarily, but just a bunch of different models. And
For what?
just some sort of an eGPU setup.
Yeah.
So some I see
So
how
like Razer makes one, like Razer Core, and there's a bunch of different ones. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it could be that one.
That's a whole rabbit hole because you got to make sure you have a eGPU with a power supply big enough to work with the GPU. It's got to physically fit the GPU. Many of them being massive these days.
Well, I was looking at
And
this
of
like
course,
open.
any extras you want, like more USB ports or anything that might come with it.
I was looking at like some of these open frame ones so it wouldn't matter what size. I mean, obviously it wouldn't be very attractive, but I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be fun to play with. Like how many more
I
screens?
think you'll find your CPU bottlenecked pretty hard on a laptop.
Not on my framework. I'm kidding.
Was it like a 7840U or something?
On the framework,
Yeah.
a 1360p.
Oh, you're on the Intel one. Okay.
Yeah, I see mostly B580s here. It's a A380
Yeah.
for $100.
Yep. It'd be a great little streaming card. And that's about all it's useful for.
It's literally a little card.
Oh, and DOSBox, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, as long as you can do DOSBox. I mean, what more do I need than that? That four display outs. Looks like one HDMI and 3 DisplayPort. So I wonder if it can actually do 4 outputs, if it's actually 3 and 2 more coupled.
Yeah, sometimes that's the case, right?
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind that just to play around with, but I don't have time for this right now.
I mean, you can get a 4090 instead, but they're
Could.
about to announce the 50 series, so get a 5090 maybe.
I don't have 5090 money.
Right, but you would save that money on your heating bill.
Oh, that's a good point. You know, you make a valid something.
Trust me, you will.
Is that what do you have?
It gets really hot. Yeah, it gets really hot. You have a 4090, it gets very hot in this room.
Fine in
I
the
was
wintertime.
playing a game and Vince, I was streaming it on Discord. Vince saw I was playing Cyberpunk and they was pulling like 350 watts, something like that. Just the card. So the highest I've seen it was around 450. So yeah, it'll warm it up.
Right, because then you add your i9 to it as well.
When you add everything to it, it's about 800.
Pulling like, yeah, right.
If you add everything to it, it's pulling about 800 watts. But
Alrighty. Well, it is about that time. Actually, I totally lost track of time. Thanks a lot, guys. And so let me just do some quick housekeeping here. Let's see. All right, so next week is an open mic night. So if you have any whatever topics you want to topic about, feel free to bring them to the open mic night. If you have any suggestions as far as topics, you can email me or tag me on the Twitters or not Twitters, Twitter, yeah, Twitter, I guess if you want, X, Telegram. I meant to say Telegram, Discord, whatever. Also, keep an eye on the Linux Saloon calendar. I do have that updated now. So there might be, I think, end of the year. I think the between Christmas and New Year's, I think it's going to be at least one weekend. I probably won't be streaming. So I haven't figured that one out yet. So yeah, check that out. If you have any ideas for polls, feel free to share those as well. Be glad to have those. Kind of help out there. It is that time for a last call. So I had a bunch of new stuff I wanted to do, but I guess I'll push that next week. Open mic night. So we got lots of things to chat about. So is it time for last call? Eric, what kind of exciting things do you have going on in your world?
Very little, man. I've been participating in Linux OTC and Mintcast and Linux Saloon, obviously. But yeah, I just have nothing for distro, Hopper's Digest, and yeah, just kind of lost the last month and then the holidays, and have a feeling everything's sort of a wash until after the new year at this point. So that's about it. So anyway, but happy holidays to everybody, and stay safe, and hope Santa brings you everything that you want.
Yeah, Santa's got me some good things already. Tell you what, I'm excited.
Nice.
I love that fat man.
Santa Nate.
Well, I am one of Santa's elves. It is kind of green in here, right? So Steve's very own, he was in the chat trolling. Didn't join us yet again. Maybe he'll join us at some point in time. He always has an excuse, but he's full of excuses. But he's the least punchable face on the internet, right? So he does streams Sunday mornings at 8:30 a.m. Central. He also streams periodically throughout the week. And still, I know I've said this last week and the week before, but if you go on there, hang around on his stream, earn some points, interact a little bit, and then you can use those for farting. So it's the best part about his streams is interrupting him. I really do. I really enjoy it, and I can't stop laughing every time. It's absolutely hilarious. Because I'm 13. So Adam, do you stream very often? Are you doing like just like Discord streams, or do you do YouTube streams?
I usually just stream in our Discord. Oftentimes, what I'm streaming is lewd and kind of raunchy.
I wish
so
you'd stop.
Yeah, it's a bad habit, but I'm just glad that I have victims.
Okay. Where do you stream?
We can discuss that later
Okay.
if you like. Yeah.
All right, cool. It'd be kind of cool, like to sit on your virtual couch from time to time. You know, like
No, it's really just like when I'm hanging out in various
Yeah, yeah.
Discords and stuff. Yeah.
Just make sure you get out your credit cards first.
Yeah.
oh, okay. I don't have one of
Make
those.
sure you're a tier 3 sub. Yeah.
This is Sean says to me, make sure you rewrap those gifts and act surprised on Christmas. I don't have to act. I'll be surprised. Yay! Which, by the way, when I say the Santa thing, it doesn't go off like it doesn't land like it used to with the kids. I think they just think I'm a senile old man at this point. Linux User Space, great podcast. Check them out, but they're on kind of a hiatus right now for the holidays, so when they return to be determined. I'm on a podcast called Linux Out Loud. We're recording this week. The last time we recorded, I was with Bill, not Matt. Matt was off gallivanting in Maine somewhere, I guess. So check that out, Linux Out Loud. It's part of the Tux Digital Network. I have a website called cubiclenate.com. I write things sometimes. Does anybody else have anything they want to say? Like, Colin, are you working on any videos? Or Vince? Is Vince doing anything these days besides trolling?
No, I'm definitely not doing anything at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, the only thing I'm going to share, I can only do in private. I can't do it publicly.
Okay.
Yeah.
My condolences. Well, Linux Saloon is part of the Tux Digital Network, so check out more great shows at tuxdigital.com. I want to thank you all for your support, however you do it, by being a part of the conversation here on Zoom or on YouTube, and all of those that watch the show after the fact. I'd also thank everyone involved in making the open source Linux and open source tools possible for us to not only have this conversation, but also to have fun and enjoy our technology. I guess except for the latest ARC Intel graphics. Thank you for stopping by. Be sure to tip your developers, and please remember to Linux responsibly. Until next time, see yous.